What's up, my nerds? I am Game Nerd, and I am here bringing you some Autumn's Journey. So, let's head right on to it. Chapter 1: The End of Summer. Sunlight filtered through the airy birch forest as the lush ferns graced my boots. I momentarily shielded my eyes before I turned north, treading carefully. The muggy atmosphere that had hung over the past few months was now being replaced by the subtle crispness of fall. Through the trees were still vibrantly green. Apple picking season was fast approaching for the town of Barry. I cheerfully stretched one arm toward the sky, inhaling deeply. And thus, my weekly scouting for monsters, bandits, or anything out of the ordinary that may harm local citizens is over.
Right!
And that concluded my mission. I laughed, wondering why I announced my agenda to no one. I guess I always just wanted to say that out loud. Walking around alone does prompt you into monologuing, just so you can hear her voice. I just wish I wasn't restricted to freelance work in Barry, though. How long is my training going to last? I'm more than ready for knighthood. I can do this. I adjusted my sword belt, making sure the hilt could be pulled out at a moment's notice. Humming, I decided to meander back to the village by following the thin river down the gentle slope. I love the terrain here. There was always an inclination, and higher up, I could get a breathtaking persona of Barry and its endless orchards, especially in autumn when the leaves were so vibrantly red that the entire forest seemed to ignite at the smell of frost and fallen foliage lingered welcomely. It was then I spotted something entirely out of the ordinary near the riverbank, leaning against a tree. Birch trees were not exactly comfortable resting spots, and I did not recognize the stranger's attire. Hello? Are you a traveler? Hi. His face came into view, and I realized he was sleeping. But that's not what caught me off guard. He had beautiful prostrate resembling scale shards jutting out of his long hair, right where someone's ear should be. Or was it a decoration covering his ear? I suddenly wanted to touch them, but I resisted. If he woke up in an untimely manner, it would be awkward to explain. At first, I was about to leave, but then I noticed something else rather odd. I saw no bags, no possessions, or anything else on him. This place was too far away from civilization for a simple afternoon stroll. Was he mugged? And if he had been in Barry previously, I would have known. It was that smell of town. Curiosity won me over. Hello? I grabbed his shoulder and gave it a gentle shake, finding his lack of response unnerving. I hovered a hand in front of his nose. Sure enough, he was breathing, and I did not see any injuries that suggested he was knocked unconscious. After more feeble attempts to wake him, I decided to improvise a camp. I did not want to leave him unattended, and I knew I wouldn't drag his body very far. Tossing down my bag, I went to work. Dot dot dot. Dot 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 dot. The fire crackled merely as I opened my cloth, which contained a lump of rye bread and hard cheese. These were emergency rations lest I was unable to return to Barry. Mother and father were probably worried. Just as I was about to bite into the cheese, I saw movement and glanced up, eyeing the stranger. Setting my food down, I cautiously shuffled over. I previously placed his body in a supreme position and used my bag as a substitute pillow, though it was probably more lumpy than anything else. It was better than nothing. Are you awake now? You've been out all afternoon. I was getting worried.
Whoa!
In a split second, he shot up and then clumsily fell back. I caught his arm to steady him. Whoa, take it easy. You just got up. He flinched from my contact and I hastily let go, retreating slightly. I didn't get any sense of hostility, but he certainly seemed bewildered. Who are you? There was an uneasy edge in his voice, not quite one of panic, but more of anger. It was then I noticed that his eyes were of brilliant amethyst hue, contrasting with his earthly hair toned. Orally, I found you in the woods outside of Barry. The surprise did not leave his eyes. He stared at his hands and then covered his face. Lastly, he ran his fingers through his brown hair. His horrified reaction was an unsettling that I dumbly sat there for several seconds before mustering the courage to address him again. Are you all right? Obviously not, but I wanted a better grasp of the situation. He attempted to sit up again, but this time I was prepared again. He was repelled by my touch, and I gave up trying to help him that way. He still appeared unstable, but he stopped moving at least. He actually did it.
The hell?
He clutched at his temples, his fingers grazing over the odd shards in the place of his ears. He wobbled as he tried to stand, and I impatiently rushed to his side. Stop it! You obviously can't move in your condition, so you might as well sit down and clear your head. What is going on? Who are you, and what are you doing here? He looked at me as if he was registrating me for the first time since asking who I was. Everything about him screamed overwhelmed, and he simply grit his teeth in frustration. I decided to find another angle to help him open up. I did not consider myself intimidating, but it was possible he had no desire to answer anything. Are you hungry? I softened my voice and returned to my spot by the fire. I grabbed the cloth and generally offered him a rye bread and cheese. He only arched an eyebrow in disgust. What is that? It's food. You chew it. What? Is that what you're gonna do with food? My life been a lie. I ripped off a piece of dark bread and demonstrated, humming delightedly to show that it was edible. He scoffed and averted his eyes.
I don't care.
I don't want it. It looks revolting. That's a good voice for him. Sorry, my peasant food does not please my lord's tastes. His attitude was rubbing off on me. Calm down. If anything, he's hiding that he's scared he did just wake up in a foreign place. Are you nobility? ... He fell silent, and only the occasional crackle on the fire and the hooting of the owls interrupted the stillness. I leaned back and ruminated over my meal, careful to leave some food untouched in case he changed his mind. Ah, there was that apple tart too. I'll save it for later. I wrapped up the cloth, only vaguely aware that the stranger was examining my every movement. It nettled me slightly, but I didn't comment. I did not want to do anything that would raise his guard even more. It was now dark, and I occasionally fed the fire, getting the feeling I was going to spend the night here. After what seemed like an eternity, he finally spoke up. Who are you again? Arlie? I'm from the town of Barry. And you? Kerr. He reluctantly uttered the name, gazing into the fire. He seemed much calmer now. And how did you get here? His lips curled, smirking knowingly. You probably wouldn't believe it if I told you. You have unusual eyes and a strange fashion accessory over your ears. I think I can find your story credible. He flexed his hand, scrutinizing his fingers. I didn't come here willingly. Out of all the places, I don't see why he decided to drop me in this low-born, simplistic... Kerr? He glared at me, as if offended that I had addressed him directly. So, where are you from? I'm not particularly tied to any region. If it's not obvious already, I'm not one of you. I'm one of the dragons, an earth dragon. He's a fucking dragon? He stated it full of pride, with no ounce of humility. Dubiously, I inspected him from head to toe, taking note of the stone-like juts for ears and his remarkable eyes. He blinked under my stare, but quietly regained his dignity. So, why would an earth dragon be her? It's not because I wanted to. He blurted it out angrily, then touched his unique ears for comfort. I sighed, then tilted my head as I absorbed his explanation. Alright, I'll admit I'm not exactly accepting this as feasible, but I'm not dismissing it either. You can't transform back? If I could, do you think I would remain in this pathetic body? So weak. I instinctively patted my sword hilts to counter that remark, but stopped when I saw him attempt to stand again.
Whoa!
The sounds are making me jump scares. It was like watching a toddler take his or her first steps. But instead of coaxing, I was fervently discouraging his efforts. We've already established that you're unfamiliar with your form. Besides, it's too dark to walk around aimlessly. I'll find a walking stick for you and we can return to Barry, if you'd like. It'd feel wrong if I abandon you in this state.
I don't need your help.
Are you saying I can't handle myself? I'm pointing it out. Realizing we were both escalating our voices, I looked away in a huff, not wanting to have our encounter turn sour so rapidly. An altar? I need to find an altar. You Heavenkind worship us, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the dragon kind were here first, so it's only natural we pay our respects. I admit it, I thought dragons were more divine and approachable. Kerr was definitely giving me a different impression. I barely knew anything about the dragon kind, though they forced on their own affairs. You will take me there. It was a plain statement, not a suggestion, nor a plea. Why an altar? They're all heaven kind made. How would it help you? He parried my question expectantly. It doesn't matter. Do you know where one is?
Yeah.
There's one not far from here. There's a cave that leads to it. Good. We should go there this instant. He obsessively tried to stand up again, but I lunged forward and firmly sat him back down. He glared at me in disbelief, but my will was as stubborn as his. Morning. We'll do this in the morning. Get some sleep, and I'll find an ideal walking stick. I don't think you'll master Bibtazzles. I don't know, dude. Give me a break. Without some assistance, especially not in a day. And it'll be difficult if we have to physically support you the whole way there. So, just take it easy tonight. I'll even keep watch while you sleep. He fell silent and gave a reluctant nod, closing his eyes wearily. I sighed gratefully, feeling moderately triumphant over the battle of the pigheadness. While Kerr grumbled, I leaned over and pulled a small blanket out of my bag. The temperature was still pleasant, even at night, but it could cool rapidly, especially since it was the end of summer. After returning some items to my bag, I reshaped it so it was a possible pillow again and offered it to Kerr, who seemed puzzled by its purpose. Believe me, you'll need something comfortable or you'll have trouble sleeping. Worse, you'll wake up a sore back and getting to the altar will be even more troublesome. You already slept on it once. I think you can figure out how to support your head with it again. I laughed sheepishly as my own stab at lightening the mood, but I could tell it wasn't working for Kerr. Disgruntled, he lay down on his side and experimented with a few positions before resting his head in satisfaction. At first, he refused to use the blanket, but as the temperature dropped, he discreetly pulled it toward him when he thought I wouldn't notice. Probably to hide his expression, he rolled over to his back was to me and the campfire. I had a feeling the initial shock took a lot out of him, and I admittedly hadn't helped when he ruffled my feathers more than once. Now that he slept, any irritation I still felt dispersed along with the summer heat. I would need to be mentally and physically prepared for tomorrow. Stay cool and collected as autumn. I poked the fire and stayed on my watch until exhaustion beguiled me into resting my eyes for just a few minutes. Okay, everybody, I think this will be it. Aw, the little cute animation. So cute. Anyway, I think I'm going to end this episode right here. And I'll see you all next time on Autumn's Journey. Bye-bye.